And if this is your first time giving your mind a little love, I have a few goodies for you. First, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And second, sign up for the Morning Mind Love. Think of it like a weekday oracle from your highest self to help you start each day with a positive focus. Plus, you'll get 2 gifts absolutely free: a 30-minute binaural meditation and 30 days of journaling prompts to help you remember who you truly are. So join over 9,000 people and go to mindlove.com to sign up. Welcome to Mind Love, episode 271. Today's episode is all about 10 ways to boost your wellness for 2023 and a holiday gift guide to get you there.
Turn up your frequency with Mind Love. Bite-sized brain hacks for seekers, dreamers, and doers. It's time to give your mind a little love with your host, Melissa Monti.
If this is your first time giving your mind a little love, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Mind love is a habit, and the more you give your mind that love and intention, the better you'll feel about yourself and your life. Plus, it's really a win-win because more subscribers means Mind Love attracts even more amazing guests to bring you their wisdom. So don't forget to subscribe. What do you focus on when you're deep in a visualization? Where do you let your mind wander? What do you consciously intend to create? Sometimes I envision the things that I want, like my dream home. Or when I was making a baby, I envisioned a healthy pregnancy and a beautiful, perfect baby being born. Sometimes when I'm trying to find my calm, I'll imagine a tropical rainforest or rolling beach waves. And sometimes when I just close my eyes, I imagine a world where the food, air, water, and products were actually good for me instead of secretly trying to kill me. Too far? Okay, maybe a little extreme. How you feel about something will affect how you react to it. So despite what I know, I do try to approach things with a sense of peace. But the fact is, we can't just live on autopilot and expect to be healthy. Because of the way our society works, like the focus on money over everything and the power that corporations have, a lot of the things built into our society aren't really that great for us. I remember when I first started going down the rabbit hole of health, I was completely overwhelmed. The water's contaminated. Bottled water is basically a scam. Our air is polluted. A lot of the food in the grocery store can barely be considered food. And then there was the beauty and the body product ingredients. I can really see why people just give up and throw it all to the wind. But here's the good news. Any small step, any intentional change that you make is an improvement. Otherwise, it's kind of like saying, well, I just can't quit smoking cigarettes, so I might as well just do crack and binge drink and stand really close to a tall metal pole during a lightning storm. Okay, well, maybe it's not exactly like that, but it's close. Maybe switching out all of your products is overwhelming. But maybe swapping just one product that you use most often is doable. And then you choose a different thing to focus on, then something else. And a few years later, you realize that you're living a very conscious lifestyle and it doesn't even take much thought anymore. You've officially rewired your brain and your life. I've also found that these changes are a lot easier to make when you find things about the change that excites you. So my hope is that this can help, because today's episode is a year-round guide to wellness mixed with a holiday gift guide to help get you there. And we're doing it just in time for the holidays and New Year's, so now your gifts can lead right into your resolutions. I am so excited about today's episode because I've never done something like this before, but I've had a lot of requests, people reaching out to me quite often on social media, asking about the products that I use and the things that have specifically helped me in creating my lifestyle. So today's episode is filling that request. So yes, I will be sharing a bunch of my favorite products that make great gifts for yourself or a loved one. So if you haven't finished your holiday shopping, you're going to love this. But I didn't want to just be pitching a bunch of products. I want to share what rituals and practices are most important in my life, the things that help me feel the most well. So whether or not you are purchasing any of these things, you're going to learn a lot. And you can always look for different solutions once you know the pain points and what to look for to help improve your life. This episode is like the what and the why and the how all wrapped up together in an adorable little holiday bow. And I have gifts for everybody, every intention, every lifestyle. Well, maybe not every lifestyle, given that I subscribe to a healthier way of life, but I do have a gift to improve every lifestyle. I also have timestamps in the show notes if you want to skip ahead. And today, because we have 10 things we're talking about, there are 10 things that we're going to learn. Number 1, how to stay productive and make progress on your goals. Number 2, a simple way to improve circulation and ease muscle tension. Number 3, how to activate your parasympathetic nervous system to relieve anxiety and find calm. 4, how to check the known contaminants in your local water supply. 5, how blue light at the wrong times affects sleep, energy, and focus. 6, how to combat seasonal affective disorder. 7, the dangers of glyphosate in food and how to protect yourself. 8, the negative effects of poor air quality and the power of plants to clean it. 9, how to find calm in 5 minutes or less. And 10, the good and the bad of cannabis and how to lean into the good. When you're growing a business, most people think the hardest part is getting clients or making money. But I think it's finding people who actually care about the work as much as you do. And I've been there. I've posted a job, got 100 applications, and maybe 3 of them actually read the job description. And it's kind of soul crushing when you're trying to build something that actually matters. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen by other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so that you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it just makes hiring so fast because you're reaching people who actually are looking for work, not just casually browsing. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. And guess how fast it is? In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/mindlove. Just go to Indeed.com/mindlove right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/mindlove. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. I used to be one of those people who had grand plans for a big healthy meal every Sunday night, and I'd make these elaborate meal plans, buy all the ingredients, and then Wednesday would roll around and I'd be staring at that wilted spinach, ordering takeout again. Shopping, planning, and cooking food really can be simple and stress-free, and that's why I love Hungry Root. Hungry Root takes stress out of mealtime by filling your cart with personalized picks and planning your week of meals, getting smarter with every order. With over 15,000 recipes to choose from each week, many ready in just 15 minutes or less, it's so perfect for those nights when you have no energy left. What I love most is their smart cart technology. It actually learns what I like and what I will actually cook. So no more buying ingredients for recipes that I'll never make. Everything that shows up, I actually use. They screen out over 200 additives, including high fructose corn syrup and artificial sweeteners, only high quality meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics, and they carry brands like Vital Farms and Ithaca hummus that I already trust. The time I've gotten back has been incredible. Instead of spending Sunday meal planning, I'm doing things that actually matter to me. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/mindlove and use code MINDLOVE. That's hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE.
Basketball game? Crushed it, and the day's just getting started. Now, kicking it with my crew. When I need a quick snack, Go-Go Squeeze Active Fruit Blend with electrolytes pouches are always in the starting lineup. Made with real fruit and select electrolytes. And So tasty. From workouts to hangouts to whatever's next, I go with Go Squeeze Active. Snag yours on your next store run. Available on Amazon.
So I'm going to be starting with a productivity journal, but for this one, I'm going to be focusing on two. My first favorite productivity journal and the one that I always go back to, which is the Self Journal by Best Self. And then I'll tell you about the journal that I'm currently using, Daily Greatness, and why I switched and why it doesn't mean that I'm done with the Self Journal. But first, I want to share with you the magic of these journals. These types of journals are the reason that I've made progress on my dreams. I spent 2 years in that limbo period, having a great idea, maybe even making a few moves, but then getting overwhelmed with either the steps or imposter syndrome or feeling stuck. This happened a lot in my 20s. So there was a time that I thought, was the journal really that helpful? Or did I just finally move through limiting beliefs? What I discovered was that the journal helped me move through those limiting beliefs, and that I would likely have to do this process over and over again. When I became a mom, I had such an identity shift that I basically had to go back and do all the work all over again. So whereas in the beginning, before I ever launched Mind Love, I thought to myself, can I even do this? Why would anyone listen to me? Will I get bored and quit? After motherhood, that self-doubt was similar but different. I had thoughts like, is this my priority? What if I can't manage it all? Who even am I anymore? I have spit up on my shirt. I haven't done my hair in months. Maybe these are just signs that I need to take a step back and just be a mom. And yeah, those questions were valid. But that doesn't mean that my doubts were true. So I did go back and do the work. And I realized that I did still feel called to this legacy. I still want to help people in this way. I still believe that everything that I went through led me directly to this. So I changed my questions to, how can I make this work? How do I do it all while still honoring my energy? And that's where these journals came in. So I told you how I used the Self Journal in the beginning. This journal has all the things that I think are critical for making the most of your day. I absolutely love the simplicity of the Self Journal. It has a great minimal type design. It looks professional. It's really easy to carry. And you can time block your day, which is maybe the most critical part. I literally cannot be as productive without doing this. The difference is stark. I need to time block my day if I want to make consistent progress and not get sucked into a bunch of bullshit. It also helps you focus on your top 3 most important tasks every single day, because we all know that it's easy to do the busy work that doesn't actually move you forward. It also has a daily gratitude practice built in, which has been proven to change your mindset around what you are doing. I feel completely different when I'm having a daily gratitude practice, because it's the difference between whether or not I am accidentally focusing on all the things I want to change in my life versus focusing on the things to be grateful for. And the longer I have a gratitude practice, the more naturally this happens, because I'm used to looking for those things that I'm going to write in my journal later on. It has a prompt to track your wins and what you're proud of, which is the only way that I'm able to recognize that I'm actually moving forward. Seriously though, the times that I've stopped tracking my wins, it just feels like I'm living the same day over and over again, doing all this work, accomplishing nothing. It takes sitting down and intentionally recapping all that I've done, and I just feel so much better about my work. Plus, it keeps me motivated to keep going, and I just feel like a winner. There's a place to create your own rituals. So it's a blank line that you can write whatever you want. And I like to write affirmations for each day. Sometimes I'll repeat the same affirmation every day if I really want to instill it. Sometimes I go based on my intuition. What do I need for today? So I really love that it's just blank and I can write whatever I want. And then there's the planning ahead aspect. So a 13-week roadmap, a month overview, and then weekly reflections. It really does have everything. Pro tip, I recommend that you do your day pages the night before so that you don't get stuck in your head with what you feel like doing versus what you know that you should do. So, if this is so great, why did I switch to the Daily Greatness Journal? Well, I mentioned that I was having a whole identity crisis when motherhood came around, so I just felt like I needed a change. That's one of the things that I learned about myself years ago. I am the type of person that needs to switch things up. So, is it suddenly really hard to keep my meditation practice? Use a new app. Is it hard to work out? Find a new method or gym or studio or app or whatever. Switching things up allows me to break through the resistance that I feel toward the old routine. So I actually first got the Daily Greatness Journal years ago, but I preferred Best Self because I felt like Daily Greatness had almost too much in it. I'd already done my values and my long-term vision, and I was already journaling, so it was just a lot to keep up with every day. I felt like I was wasting time. Well, in my little mini identity crisis, I needed those things to realign with my vision, and I needed the switch up, and I needed the little extra time each day to get me thinking and to remotivate me. So the Daily Greatness Journal has pretty much everything that the Self Journal has, plus more. It's also a full year-round journal instead of a 3-month journal. So it's about double the price, but you only have to buy it once per year. I also like that each day has a slightly different variation of questions. So it might ask you what you learned today, and then the next day ask what challenged you. So if you don't like the repetition of the self-journal, Daily Greatness might be for you. It also has weekly reviews and monthly planning, and it guides you through the whole process of really drilling down on your goals and getting clarity in your life. Another difference between the two is size. The self-journal is a lot easier to travel with. It's just about 6 inches by 8.5 inches, whereas the Greatness Journal is about an inch longer length and width, and also thicker because it's a year. But if you typically keep it at home or at the office, this probably isn't an issue. I do like how the extra length holds the pages open. So both of these are such amazing and accessible gifts for either yourself or a friend or a partner, or really anyone who wants to start making moves on their dreams. Next up, acupressure. An acupressure mat is a mat with little spikes that you lay down on, and they help relieve stress and tension. So the spikes stimulate pressure points on your body, which can help to improve circulation and relieve pain. They are a great way to relax and de-stress, plus they're a really great addition to your yoga or your meditation practice. And as simple as they are, there are so many benefits to using an acupressure mat. So the first benefit we'll talk about is easing muscle tension and promoting relaxation. So one study found that people who used an acupressure mat had better circulation in their back. So this could help relieve muscle tension. Also, participants were more relaxed, they had lower heart rates, and even slower breathing. Benefit number 2, it relieves chronic neck, back, and foot pain. So some evidence suggests that even just standing on an acupressure mat could help reduce muscle tension, which relieves the back and the neck pain. Also, another study found that reflexology, which also involves applying pressure to specific points on the body, reduced foot pain in children. There's at least one study that suggests that acupressure mats could help with menstrual pain. So in the study, 10 minutes of acupressure on trigger points in the hands and the feet was found to help with the menstrual cramps. Participants had less pain, fewer needs for medication, and fewer school absences. So if you want to try using an acupressure mat to relieve menstrual pain, just try standing on it for 10 minutes. And you can also place your hands on the mat for the same amount of time to activate those trigger points. The fourth benefit is that it can alleviate chronic headaches. So this study found that using acupressure on trigger points around the head and the back of the neck was more effective than using muscle relaxants. So if you're interested in trying this with an acupressure mat, you want to look for a mat that has a cervical roll with spikes, because it'll ensure that the spikes hit the nape and the base of your skull. And the one I'm going to tell you about does have that. The fifth benefit is that it helps with depression, anxiety, and stress. A small study found that people who used an acupressure mat for just 15 minutes a day reported feeling better overall, with more energy, better sleep, and less pain. And there are larger studies that have also found that acupressure mats can help with mild to moderate depression symptoms. So if you're feeling stressed or down, it might be worth a try. And the final benefit I'm going to talk about today is boosting energy levels. There was another study where participants reported feeling less stressed and more energetic, but their blood pressure, pulse rate, and cortisol levels remained unchanged. So there's more research needed for the boosting the energy. But for me, I think about how it improves my circulation, and getting the blood flowing always boosts my energy. So I feel like even if it's just the placebo, that might work for me. So this gift idea is for anyone that's interested in wellness or in adding to their morning and their evening ritual, or really just anyone who could use a natural way to relieve stress and tension or pain. And this is the acupressure mat. The brand that I love is Shakti Mat. There are a lot of cheap mass-produced acupressure mats out there, but a lot of those mass-produced products have found to have a ton of chemicals that you don't want in your house or on your body. And also, they don't often have very ethical labor practices. Shakti Mat uses organically certified cotton and dyes, so it's completely non-toxic to you and the environment. And also, this company has amazing employment practices. They employ local craftspeople in India to make each Shakti Mat by hand, and they pay all of their workers fair living wages. They also give to an emergency medical fund and the investment of education of the children of their workers. And they donate 10% of profits to causes important to humanity. So you know that your purchase creates a positive change. So while this purchase might pamper you, you also have a lot of reasons to feel really good about it. All right, on to the next one. I have been a fan of weighted blankets for a while. And actually, the moment that I heard they existed, I knew that I was going to love them. Kind of how sometimes I just feel like I need the weight of a man on top of me. This gives me that same secure feeling, but with none of the baggage. My dog who passed, Maverick, rest his dear sweet little soul. When he was a pup, he had a little bit of separation anxiety. So I bought him this anxiety vest. And the idea behind them is deep touch pressure stimulation, which gives them the sensation of being hugged. So when I would leave or he would seem anxious, I'd just wrap him in that vest and he'd calm down. Weighted blankets work the same way. Something about giving birth triggered anxiety in me. Not that I was anxious about childbirth, although aren't most of us a little, but more so, I was suddenly feeling these little moments of anxiety or panic afterward. So I got my first weighted blanket a few months after I had my son Bravery, and oh my gosh, it helped so much. Just laying underneath it is almost euphoric. I can feel myself grounding. It's just so good. Well, the problem with the one that I got was that first, it was not cute. It was just this big gray flat thing. It didn't look cute over the couch or on the bottom of the bed. I also had gotten a single size, which is great if you're single, but kind of awkward when you're sharing a bed with someone because there's just this huge weight on them. It separates the way the bed moves. It was just weird. Also, it was too hot for summer. There was no breathability in it, and the material actually wasn't that cozy. It had no stretch, no softness. Well, now I have the Nuzzy, and I am obsessed with this thing. My husband makes fun of me because I will drag it around the house to use during the day. Something about the weight during an immersive sound journey or a sound healing meditation is otherworldly. It's also gorgeous. It comes in 10 different colors. I got the oatmeal color, which is a soft beige. I had a bit of trouble deciding between oatmeal and camel, though, because I loved both. Well, my favorite thing about the Nuzzy is its breathable woven design. It looks like one of those big, chunky knit blankets that frankly look adorable in Instagram photos, if that's something that's important to you. It's just stylish. And also, like I said earlier, it makes it so that a heavy blanket is actually usable and comfortable in any weather. So I am obsessed with this thing. It's an amazing gift. It comes in all the sizes, so single or twin. I have the king size one so that it actually fits on my bed. And it's probably one of my favorite purchases of the year. So this is a great gift for yourself or friends or family that have anxiety, really prioritize being cozy, want something that just helps calm them down. They like pretty things. Honestly, this gift is great for anyone. Next gift. Who's excited? I am. Let's talk about water because it is essential for life. Every cell, tissue, and organ in the human body needs water to work properly. For example, water flushes out the toxins of your vital organs. It carries nutrients to cells. It provides a moist environment for ear, nose, and throat tissues. The problem is, tap water is terrible pretty much everywhere. It contains toxic contaminants like fluoride, chlorine, arsenic, nitrate, chromium, which guess what? Chromium was the whole case with Aaron Brockovich, if you remember that. You can actually go to ewg.org/tapwater and check what contaminants are in the water in your area. I live in a little mountain town, so I really thought that the water up here would be totally fresh, but nope. 16 total contaminants and 8 that exceed health guidelines. And if you know anything about the health guidelines in our country, they're not great. So exceeding even those, not good at all. You've hopefully already found a good water filter for your drinking water. Definitely look for one that removes chlorine and fluoride. But what most people overlook is the fact that they're bathing or showering in contaminated water almost every day, or we're bathing our kids in it, and our skin absorbs all that. There's mixed info on how much chlorine we absorb, but I tend to lean toward the side of not taking my chances. There's this viral demo online that I will link to by EWS Water. Well, they have 2 cups. Both have the exact same water. It came from the same pitcher. So he just poured from the pitcher into both cups to fill them up. Well, in one of the cups, he uses OTO chemical, which tests for chlorine. And then he just puts his hand in the other cup that doesn't have the chemical in it yet. So the one with the chlorine tester turns yellow, which shows that there's evidence of chlorine. Then he removes his hand from the other cup and puts the same chemical in it to test for chlorine in that one. And the result is no trace of chlorine, which seems to show that his skin completely absorbed the chlorine. So yeah, some mainstream studies show that we do not absorb chlorine well, but I'm not sure I trust that because often the same people funding those studies are the ones who have something to gain by the results. So I'm going to trust the test that I actually witnessed for now. Plus, if you have hair, you probably notice a big difference when you shower or bathe in chlorinated water versus clean water. Or maybe you just have dry and brittle hair and have never really figured out why. Could be the water. So my next gift recommendation is for people who are conscious about what they put on or in their body, or they just have that passion for beauty, or they're trying to repair their hair or keep it healthy. I fit into all of those categories. So this filtered shower head by Jolie is amazing. It removes all the harmful bacteria, the chlorine, and a ton of other chemicals. And chlorine can actually strip hair of its natural shine. It can cause brittleness, and it can lead to buildup. And those are just the issues at the scalp. Toxins in water can even induce hives, psoriasis, and eczema all over the body. Well, Jolie's filtered shower head promises to change all that. So think shinier hair, more moisturized skin, and water clean enough to drink, which is extra awesome if you have a toddler that gets a kick out of drinking his bath water like I do. So I've actually been filling up his bath with this shower head instead of the lower faucet because I know that if I do it through the shower head, we're getting the best water we can. And last, it's really beautiful. Like it upgrades your shower experience. It makes your shower look better. I love this shower head. So again, great gift for beauty fanatics, health freaks, people just trying to be more conscious about what they put in or on their body. Next up, we all know how important sleep is, and most of us do not get enough as it is. Actually, 1 in 3 adults don't get enough sleep. We're busy, we have shit to do, but that is not even the biggest problem. Even if we are actually in bed, asleep for that 7 to 9 hours that science says we need to function properly, many times we're not getting quality sleep. So you can actually sleep for 9 whole hours and not feel rested because you're never entering the stages of sleep needed to rejuvenate yourself. And this is a really big problem because sleep helps our bodies recover from the day. When we sleep, our bodies have a chance to repair any damage that was done during the daytime. Sleep also helps our brains function properly. It's during sleep that our brains consolidate memories and process information. So if your memory's slipping, maybe it's your sleep. If you can't think well, if you have brain fog, it might just be the quality of your sleep. Also, not getting enough sleep can lead to some really serious consequences like weight gain, depression, and even heart disease. So that combined with the brain fog and the irritability, less energy, less motivation. Honestly, nowadays, sleep is one of my number one priorities. I'm actually really nervous about having this upcoming baby because I hate being sleep deprived. So I'm going to have to figure something out because sleep above all else. I don't know why it took me so long to prioritize sleep. And I don't know why the analogy with the car is the one that ended up getting me. But somehow, I guess it's because I was 20 something at some time. When you're young, I don't know, sleep is just a side thought. At least it was for me. I didn't need that much of it. It was all about seeing how long I could stay up. But we need it like our cars need gas. Well, unless you're electric, but I'm not ready for that cyborg stuff. So sleep it is. In the last few years, I have learned a lot about sleep. And that's probably because the older I get, the more I feel like I need it and the less time that I have. And the harder it is to actually reach those deep sleep states needed for quality sleep. So I've studied it. I've interviewed experts. I've read books. And one thing that I now prioritize is a sleep ritual. And the most important part for me, or maybe I should say the most effective part for me, is limiting the amount of blue light that I'm exposed to, really starting around sundown. Our bodies are meant to sync with the natural cycles of Earth. We're meant to rise with the sun and go to sleep after sunset. It's the 24-hour cycle of the circadian rhythm. And that brings me to blue light because there's some misconceptions around blue light. Some people think that blue light is terrible altogether, but the sun actually emits more blue light than any LED bulb. Blue light is just that daytime light that tells our body that it's time to be awake and have energy. The problems arise when we're exposed to blue light when we naturally shouldn't be. And if you're anything like me, chances are you still have screen time after sundown. Maybe it's the TV or the computer or your phone or even the fridge or a digital clock in your bedroom. And this exposure throws off that ideal 12-hour sleep-wake cycle. I actually started to notice in the last few years that if I scroll my phone right before bed, I just feel wide awake. It's really hard for me to fall asleep for a good hour. But there is a solution. Blue light glasses. I have tried a lot of these, from cheap pairs on Amazon to $400 pairs. I have one pair of cheap and 3 higher quality right now, and my favorite so far is Bon Charge. And not just because they actually have a frame named the Melissa, which is, of course, the pair that I have. They have several colored lenses for specific uses. So for computer glasses, gaming glasses, light sensitivity glasses, and then their full blue light blocking, which is what I have. The full blue light blocking has lenses that are just fully orange. So it does make your world look a little different. It took a couple days of getting used to because it made the room almost seem more dim. But I'm okay with this because why do I feel like I need bright fluorescent lights at 8:30 p.m. anyways? It's not natural. If we didn't have electricity, we'd all be living by candlelight at that time, and we'd probably sleep like babies. Well, minus the waking up every hour to cry. I read recently that Indigenous people don't have insomnia, like at all. So it took a couple days, but now it's just soothing. No eye strain. I haven't had a headache since I got these, and I sleep so much better, which I know because my Oura Ring tells me. And if you're thinking to yourself, Melissa, I thought you avoided EMFs. What about the Oura Ring? I wear it on airplane mode and it still collects data, and then I plug it in and then it sends it all to the app. Anyways, this is not about the Oura Ring. I start wearing my Bon Charge glasses around 5 p.m. Some people recommend around 4 p.m. Bon Charge's blue light blocking glasses block blue and green light, which are both sleep interferences. These are just the most well-made. I do have some runner-ups. Reach out to me if you want to know what they are. But these ones are the best, especially for late night. And because I'm going to have another baby, I know there's going to be those late night breastfeeding times. I know I'm probably going to be on my phone, so I need to block all the blue light that I can. And these are what I'll be using. So these are a great gift for yourself or for anyone that either has trouble sleeping or just wants a new way to prioritize their wellness or gets a kick out of biohacking. I also have a special discount code for you for 15% off your entire order if you use the code MINDLOVE, which is extra awesome. We're already talking about how light affects our circadian rhythms, which affects all of our bodily processes. So this leads us really well into the next gift. This gift is perfect for those of you or your loved ones that get a little down in the winter. Maybe it's too cold to get outside often, or your house doesn't have a lot of windows, or you don't get a lot of sunlight for whatever reason. Seasonal depression, otherwise known as seasonal affective disorder, is a real thing. It's a type of depression that is related to changes in seasons, and it usually starts in late fall or early winter and fades around the beginning of spring. It's more common in women than men. I'll also say that it can happen even unrelated to the seasonal changes if you live in an apartment or something that just doesn't get a lot of sunlight all year round. Some symptoms include feeling depressed, having low energy, difficulty concentrating, sleeping longer, feeling agitated or irritable, and it can actually go as far as deep depression symptoms like thoughts of death or suicide. I realized that I was affected by SAD back in 2010. I moved to a small apartment in West Hollywood and I found a little 1-bedroom for me and my dog, and it got virtually zero sunlight. But the rent was affordable and it was right by my favorite yoga studio and it was also right next to my favorite bar. So I figured, winner. Well, within about a week, I started to feel depressed, but I thought that it was just going through stuff. I had moved to a new place. I was getting my bearings because I was, and also my 20s were a shit show. But I also noticed that my dog had less energy. Call me crazy, but that is what tipped me off. And I started Googling and lo and behold, seasonal depression came up. It's still something that I deal with if I'm not diligent, especially now that I live in the snow, whereas in LA, all seasons are outdoor weather. In this small little mountain town, it's a bit colder, so going outside takes more prep. Dressing a toddler is not always easy. And I'm like, do I want to spend the next half hour trying to go outside? The answer should always be yes, but sometimes it's not. Thankfully, California mountain towns still get a lot of sun compared to like Michigan, where it can be gloomy for weeks. And then being pregnant adds a whole other layer to getting outside. So my solution is bottled sunshine therapy. The bottled sunshine therapy lamp delivers the benefits of natural light to support your mood, energy, and sleep. And they have a few versions. The bottled sunshine standard, baby bottled sunshine, traveling sunshine, and bottled sunshine therapy, which is the one that I have. Well, the therapy lamp has over 5,000 lux of brightness, which is 50% more light than the standard lamp. And the coolest part is, unlike other light therapy products, this lamp automatically changes color and intensity with the time of day. So this allows you to experience bright, energizing sunlight during the day, and then sunset in the evening and candlelight at night, just like natural light. There are really cheap products that try to stimulate different colored lights, like I do have hue bulbs. The problem is you have to go into an app. It doesn't happen naturally. I don't end up keeping up with it. It's not exact. And a lot of times it's a lower quality light, which will affect your moods and all of those processes as well. Whereas the founders of Bottled Sunshine have really perfected this lamp. They've worked with scientists to get the exact amount of the mixed colors of light to emit at different times of the day. And when you buy it, you don't have to set anything up. Based on your location, it's just plug and play. So it knows when the sun's going to go down and it naturally follows that arc of light. It's gorgeous. It looks amazing on my desk. It's just my little desk lamp now. I actually haven't been turning on my full floor lamp at all because I just feel better with this light, with this quality light. And I'm sure whether you've really brought awareness to it or not, you've felt the effects of low quality light. Maybe you've worked in fluorescent rooms and cubicles or whatever. For me, I just end up feeling drained. I'll have eye strain. And so when I was telling you about Bon Charge blue light glasses, we talked about all of the problems with receiving the wrong color light at the wrong color time. This one naturally eliminates the blue light when the sun goes down. So if you're only in a room with this light, you may not even need blue light glasses at that time. I still like to wear both because I move into different rooms. I only have this lamp in one room, but it really is this holistic perspective of what light you're essentially bathing in, because our skin also has receptors for light. So yes, blue light glasses work wonders, but also our skin is going to be taking that in and telling us what time of day it is as well. So the more sort of holistic I can have this, the more I can immerse myself as though I was living off the land, just the better I feel. So bottled sunshine therapy, highly recommend. This is great for anyone who has trouble sleeping, for people who like beautiful things, for people who like biohacking, and for people who are just trying to live more intentionally. This next gift is a great gift for moms, but also anyone who is health conscious. I'm sure you've heard about the negative effects of glyphosate, or at least I hope you have. Damn you, Monsanto. Glyphosate is a very common pesticide that is also a known carcinogen, meaning it's linked to cancer. But that is not all. It's linked to a ton of chronic diseases. What infuriates me about this topic is that Monsanto is a powerful corporation, and what powerful corporations tend to do is dominate news sources to demonize any scientists or discoveries that might decrease their profits. So they've spent billions of dollars putting out info that glyphosate is relatively harmless to humans. But there have been so many studies that prove otherwise. Literally over 1,000 studies that show how harmful it is. And the only ones that say that it isn't happen to be funded by Monsanto or people that are profiting off of it. One of the prominent scientific journals called Entropy actually said, contrary to the current widely held misconception that glyphosate is relatively harmless to humans, the available evidence shows that glyphosate may rather be the most important factor in the development of multiple chronic diseases and conditions that have become prevalent in westernized societies. Another recent study showed that 87% of children were found to have glyphosate in their systems. And back to the Entropy study, it stated that negative impact on the body is insidious and manifests slowly over time. So it's not like you're going to eat an apple that is not organic and sprayed with glyphosate and you're going to die. But when you continuously have this, which it is in a lot of our food and not just the produce, if you're buying wheat pasta, for example, almost all wheat has been found to have glyphosate on it, even organic, unfortunately. And so the best we can do is really try to limit our exposure where we do have control, because it's almost impossible to avoid. And toxic compounds like this can affect people differently. The example that I like to use is how some people smoke cigarettes their whole life and they never get lung cancer, whereas others smoke for a couple years and receive a fatal diagnosis. Well, our individual bodies and genes have different weaknesses. So if you have a toxic overload, your weakness will be the one that's exploited, whereas it might affect your husband or wife completely differently. Well, in 2022 alone, it's expected that there's going to be 2 million new cancer cases. And the rates of cancer and chronic disease have been rising exponentially over time. There has been a 4 to 6% annual increase for advanced disease since 2011. And think about that. We're supposed to be progressing and understanding our bodies more as science advances. And instead, we're getting sicker year after year. Because corporations rule this country, so it's hard to trust information or food or water or anything. Honestly, the more I know, the gloomier society looks if I'm not careful. So instead of getting down about it, I'm just very intentional about what I put in my body, what I surround myself with in my environment, how I source my food, filter my air and my water. And one of those things that makes me feel so much better is always buying organic. And also doing what I can to remove any pesticides that might still be there due to contamination or, sadly, even corrupt organic companies. Who knows? I used to buy those fruit and vegetable washes, but they just felt difficult. Like I had to wash each one by hand, and sometimes they'd taste funny. And I read that they weren't really that effective anyways. So now I use the AquaPure. It's this small device that I actually put in a bowl of water that I soak my produce. So I just fill up the bowl with regular tap water and a little bit of salt, and then I turn on the AquaPure and drop it in the bottom of the bowl. The light blinks blue for a few minutes, and when it stops, your veggies or your produce are pure. And you can actually see things floating in the water. Sometimes small bugs, which is pretty gross, but it removes pesticides, bacteria, and other contaminants. And it works through electrolysis, which means it emits a current that produces a chemical change that attacks and then decomposes the pesticide molecules. If you're interested in the nitty-gritty of the science of it, it's all on their website. But I love this thing, and my fruits and veggies, especially my berries, just taste so much fresher after I use it. And maybe it's just in my head, but I feel like they last longer too. Like I said, great gift for the health conscious or moms who care about what they feed their kids. In the spirit of filtering things for our health, the next gift has to do with air quality and the most beautiful way to filter your air, and actually the most sustainable as well. Air quality in most cities is horrible, first of all. And second of all, indoor air is even worse. Our homes trap poor quality air and can actually be 100 times worse than outdoor air, even in a city. You might not realize it, but every time you cook, light candles, use cleaning products, or play with your pets, you're releasing harmful pollutants into your home. And these pollutants can come in the form of tiny particles or harmful gases, and they can have a really serious impact on your health. 7 million people die prematurely from air pollution every year. There was a study from Beijing Normal University in 2018 that found that air pollution can have negative effects on brain function too. So good quality air can improve your energy levels during the day, help your cognitive performance, and even help you sleep better. When I got my first air filter, I remember feeling like I was waking up in the mountains when I was living in the heart of LA. So it was really a noticeable difference that I could feel when I breathed. It smelled different. Unfortunately, my last air filter broke, so I was in the market for a new one. And one of the things I was hoping to find was something that looked better than the big white box in the corner of my house. Also, the filters were pretty expensive to replace. We were spending around $75 twice a year. And when you consider that 15 million air filters are purchased every single year and the filters need to be replaced every 6 months, that is a lot of waste. Which brings me to Briv. This thing looks like a table centerpiece. It is gorgeous, and it uses the power of plants to clean your air. So maybe you're thinking, well, why can't I just buy plants? Well, yes, having a ton of houseplants does produce oxygen and affect the air that you breathe. But the Briv is the size of one tabletop houseplant, and it's as powerful as 3,000 medium-sized plants. They have this really cool video on their website showing the Briv in a fish tank with a bunch of cigarette smoke to where you can barely see the Briv. Next to the same setup, a fish tank with a normal house plant in it in the same conditions. And then they roll a timer. Within 1 minute, the Briv makes the air crystal clear, while the poor regular house plant can't even be seen because the smoke is so heavy. It's really pretty cool to watch. Well, this one has this round black base with then a layer of brown elephant grass topped with beautiful green moss within this glass container. And then you just plug it in, turn it on, and let it do its thing. I really can't emphasize how beautiful this thing is. It looks like its own decor. It looks like you put it up because it looks good, not that it's an air filter. Well, you also only have to change the filter once per year, and it's like $35, which is so much cheaper. And the materials are biodegradable, so you're not creating waste when you do change it. So this is the perfect gift for anyone who cares about their health and their home aesthetic. They care about their environmental impact and just want to be surrounded by fresh and beautiful things. And I'm going to say moms again, because I feel like all of us are trying to take care of our kids the best that we can. And I like to know that my child is breathing clean air. So I love this gift. This next gift is one of my favorite accountability devices. But we're going to talk about meditation. Meditation has been shown to help reduce stress and anxiety and improve mental health. But how is it doing that? Research suggests that it's actually changing parts of your brain. Meditation increases the gray matter in the hippocampus, which is the part of your brain that's responsible for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. Well, it also decreases the gray matter in the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for stress and anxiety. I resisted meditation for years. I just found it really difficult to sit there with my thoughts for so long. I just felt like it stressed me out more, which isn't that supposed to be the opposite of what it was doing? So I would say things like, oh, meditation doesn't work for me, which is funny because now when people say that to me, I think, okay, honey, you're lost. But really though, the harder it is for you, likely the more you need it. Now meditation is my favorite time of the day. It feels blissful and euphoric, and it's how I start every single morning. I am currently on a 140-day streak right now with no missed days, minimum 20 minutes. But honestly, even just starting at 5 minutes a day to start has huge benefits. So next is a great gift for anyone who's trying to create a consistent meditation practice. Or maybe someone who doesn't know they need meditation yet, but they're just stressed often and they need a fun and motivating way to find their calm. Or maybe some accountability too. And that might be you, or it might be someone you love. And I say that it might be for someone that doesn't necessarily know they need meditation because this is a little different. You don't actually need to say, hey, I'm going into a meditation session. The way this works, it's just about finding this moment of stillness, which is also kind of meditation. But a lot of people have resistance to that word or the practice. And so this is kind of a different way to approach it. But another thing I want to add is we have more control over our stress response than most people know. And usually it just takes that few minutes of intention to breathe, to consciously clear your mind, to change your focus, to find some stillness. So if it only takes a few moments, why is it so difficult then? I don't know, but it is. And I've used a lot of tools, apps, reminders, and only in the last few years have I finally created a consistent practice. But even now, I'm working on something else. I'm working on adding more of those moments rather than just my 2 set meditation sessions per day, which brings me to the Reflect Orb. It's this little biofeedback ball for meditation and moments of mindfulness. So picture a little gray ball, about twice the size of a baseball with a light ring on it. It almost actually looks like a light gray speaker. Well, there's sensors where your fingertips go. So you kind of grip the ball. And it uses biofeedback to measure your physiological signals and reflect them back to you so that you can learn to control your daily stress. So you hold it between your palms and you find your calm. The light ring will glow different colors depending on your state. So purple for tense, blue for alert, this bluish green for getting there, and then white for calm. I'm a big fan of devices that have instant feedback and guidance using things like biofeedback because it helps me connect with my body and learn my own signals in real time. This was part of the reason that I loved the Muse meditation headband. Hands down, changed my meditation practice. And that's actually when I got consistent with meditation. So now I just keep my Reflect Orb on my desk. And a few times throughout the day, I'll do a little session to just find my calm and then go about my day. I really like to use it if I get in an argument or if my toddler stresses me out and I just say, Mommy needs a moment. And then I take the amount of minutes that this little Reflect Orb tells me that I need. I like it that it's actually its own device rather than just an app because it's easy to get sucked into other digital addictions when I'm navigating to an app. Whereas with this, I can just pick up the Reflect Orb without ever touching my phone. And it does sync to an app, so my session data will be available whenever I do decide to open the app. I saved this one for last because it might not be for everyone. But I personally love it because I am a fan of cannabis. And I do recognize that it has downsides, so I'll get into that too. But cannabis has been shown to fight cancers, relieve chronic pain, prevent seizures, reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and even treat gastrointestinal issues. But my favorite benefits are to treat depression and relieve anxiety. There are downsides though. If you're smoking a joint every day, that's not great for the lungs. Also, the smell on your hands, face, or clothes. So I stick to edibles and the PAX vaporizer, which is my next gift suggestion. I absolutely love the PAX. I feel like it's the cleanest way to actually still smoke weed if that's your thing. Sometimes I have to double check that it's even on and that I actually got a hit because it is so smooth. It doesn't hurt your throat or your lungs. It smells better. It doesn't taint my hands or face. It's like this luxury cannabis experience. Well, it has a patented temperature-controlled oven, which is why it makes your product smell so amazing. It also heats evenly and consistently. And so if it's not clear so far, this thing is a vaporizer. So you actually put the flower in it, not a concentrate, which you actually can have the concentrate also if you have the PAX 3. Some people prefer that. I am always kind of weary about what's in something that doesn't just grow naturally. So I like to stick with the flower. But frankly, it's a totally different cannabis experience. So even if you didn't like it before, you might want to try it this way. For me, I don't like the idea of being a stoner. I don't even like the word. I don't identify with it. I never use it. I don't smoke weed to escape life. I do it to enhance it. So yes, I get high and consciously choose to enter a higher state of mind when I feel it could serve me. And I try to be very mindful. So this means that I don't use it every time that I'm anxious. I believe that I need to feel my feelings to process them. I also don't want to feel like I'm dependent on something. However, sometimes I do use it as a tool to help get me there. I also don't believe in starting too soon with cannabis. This is anecdotal, but I've just seen a lot of kids who start smoking weed too early end up as less motivated adults. I know that's not the case for everyone. And as I said, it's anecdotal. But I personally feel like it might be best to wait until your brain is done developing, maybe mid-20s. I also know a lot of people who were able to stop using long-term pharmaceutical prescriptions, which have way more downsides than cannabis. Well, in order to stay intentional with it, I like to create a ritual around it. So instead of just sitting back and watching TV, I meditate or I have creative convos with my husband. I use it for inspiration and wonder. And for me, it feels great. If it started to feel like a dependency, I would take a long break or reassess my relationship with it altogether. But when I do, I use the PAX or an edible, and I highly recommend the PAX. Highly, pun intended. It is my favorite way to have an experience with cannabis, and everyone that I've ever shared it with is blown away by the experience too. So this is a great gift for the cannabis lovers and those who have been wanting to try but maybe can't find a form that they love. All the links for this episode will be at mindlove.com/271. And the show notes for this episode are a little bit different because I've laid out an entire blog post with all of these gifts that I mentioned, everything you need to know about them, and there's also specific links to each one, some of them having discount codes just for you. So I highly recommend going to this show notes page, even if you never visit the show notes pages, especially if you're interested in any of these products, because I just might have a discount for you. And I'm curious what you thought about this episode. I think I might do it every December, depending on the feedback. So how did it feel? Did it feel informative? Did you find some things that you liked? Let me know. Please reach out to me on Instagram at mindlovemelissa. Also, I am making a ton of changes to Mind Love Premium starting January 1st. So get in now because there's going to be so many new things, goodies, and now is the time to join. Don't say I didn't warn you. You can find that at mindlove.com/premium. It's also a really great way to support the show if Mind Love is useful for you. So many people tell me that Mind Love is kind of like their therapy, and it's a lot cheaper than therapy to join Mind Love Premium. Not saying I don't recommend both, but it is a good addition to your intentional self-love, conscious creating of your life journey, because that's what we focus on. We find all of the ways that we can become more intentional about our lives so that we can just live happier and healthier all the time. And speaking of great ways to support the show, the blog post that has all of these products also uses some affiliate links. So if you do decide to purchase, I'd really appreciate it if you clicked the links through there. Doesn't cost you anything. In fact, it might save you something. And Mind Love gets a few dollars from your purchases. So these are the ways that I do create my income so that I can keep showing up to the microphone week after week. So if you want to hear from me again, these are the ways to support. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend. You can just tap that share button, or you can screenshot this and tag Mind Love Melissa and Mind Love Podcast on Instagram stories. So many ways to share. Additionally, you can find all of my official sponsors at mindlove.com/sponsors. And that's all for today. So thanks for giving your mind a little love today, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Your Higher Frequency with Mind Love. Head to mindlove.com for a free gift to keep your vibes up until next week.